Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Vinyl Thoughts, a special celebration edition of Vinyl Thoughts, because this week marks the 30th anniversary of the release of the fifth Metallica album, just called Metallica, or more commonly known as the Black Album. And being a kid who was a young teenager when this album came out, this album has a lot of significance to me. Not just to like the nostalgic side of me, but also just kind of in my story of what led me to the dude you're looking at right now. So I thought it was totally appropriate to do an entire video where I'm just going to talk a little bit about my feelings and history with the Black Album, and we'll look at some vinyl. We'll look at all of the singles that were released from the Black Album. And so just a big old Black Album celebration. So if you're one of those Metallica listeners who don't care for this album, then this video is not going to get any better. So see you guys later. But so yeah, let's go ahead and just get started talking about the Black Album. So for those of you who've been listening to or watching my shit for a long time, you already kind of know the story. I had first heard Metallica back when the video for One came out in the late 80s. But I was pretty young. I was like 10, 11 years old, and I wasn't quite ready for anything that heavy and dark. And so when the Black Album rolled around, when the Inner Sandman single came out, I was pretty on board with it because I was already listening to thrash metal. I know that Inner Sandman is not thrash, but I was already listening to, Anthrax and some heavier bands. But all of a sudden, just seeing the Inner Sandman video, it was just a really good, heavy, catchy song. And so I was immediately like, well, shit, I need to go get this fucking album. And then I did. And I loved it. And I loved it so much that I immediately said to myself, well, why the hell didn't I go listen to their other stuff before? And so that led me all the way back down the line, getting into the other 4 albums that they released, and honestly loving them all equally. Like the story of Metallica, listening to their albums from Kill 'Em all the way to the Black Album, is a really fascinating listen, even today. And at the time, it was just like discovering this band that had this really interesting like musical story. And I liked where they were at the time, and I liked where they came from. There was no weird division with me or anyone I knew. I know we were all, 13, 14 years old, so we weren't technically in the cool crowd, but there was no discussion of Metallica selling out or why did they make this sound. It was just like, oh, this is this different take on their music, and it's equally as good, just in a different way. So that led me to being a Metallica fan. At this point, pretty much lifelong Metallica fan. I mean, if you're talking about 12 years old to now, so there you go. So let's talk a little bit about the vinyl that's sitting behind me. So I've talked about this one before on my Metallica collection video, which I'll post a link to down below. But this is my copy of the Black Album, it's an older copy, but it's not an original 1991 copy. Those are a little bit pricey. And I didn't collect vinyl when I was 12, or 13. But mathematically, fuck God, who cares? Somewhere around there. But this is a late 90s pressing of the Black Album, and it's on Vertigo Records. And it's got, the inner here with, it actually kind of has a little weird, like, fold-out inner, which, like, later on, I think, they have just an insert, or some of them actually have printed inner sleeves that are just separate. Maybe they don't. Don't really know. But these just have, the white ones, but it's got the pretty much what you expect from the Vertigo label. And then, of course, there's that, which, you see often. We'll be seeing that a lot on today's video. But it's a double vinyl. And the original vinyl pressing was also a double vinyl, and I think every vinyl pressing since then. My only gripe, which the original version and every version since then has done, is that it's not a gatefold. Maybe there was a gatefold version made somewhere at some point, but all the ones that I have seen are the ones that just have the thicker opening and you shove 2 records in there, which I don't really like that much. But there you go. That's the most OG of versions of the Black Album I have. I also have behind me the most recent, the Walmart repressing. I don't know why I said that. It wasn't pressed by Walmart. It was sold through Walmart. But I also did a video on all the Walmart editions that I got. Maybe I'll put that down below too. So we don't really need to talk about that one. Let's just jump into talking about the singles. First up, of course, we got Enter Sandman, the first single that was released from the Black Album. And all of these are 12-inch maxi singles. They're all European pressings because I don't think the 12-inch maxi singles came out in the US. They didn't. And this one's cool. All of these are cool because they have extra goodies on all of them. It isn't just 2 album tracks and then that's it. First of all, let's look at the back cover. There's a cool picture of the dudes, and you can see what's on this. So we've got Enter Sandman, obviously, on this one. And then Holier Than Thou, Work in Progress, which is interesting because it's not a demo. It's like a rough mixed version of the studio version of Holier Than Thou with some different lyrics and a little bit of different like guitar leads here and there. So that's pretty interesting to hear. And then, of course, you have their cover of the Queen song Stone Cold Crazy. And then you have the Enter Sandman demo, which for the most part, all of the demos that are on these 12 inches are just James and Lars playing the song together in a room. Which these demos, a lot of people like to make the claim that Bob Rock kind of talked them into, toning down their sound. But they had demoed most of these songs before they ever really got into a studio working with Bob Rock. So he just brought out the best out of what they had. Because you listen to these demos and a lot of them are really fucking close to the final songs that you would end up hearing on the album. So we'll take a look at this. This one has a nice little just black slip, but there you go. Once again, Vertigo Records. It's got that backside part, and then not a lot to look at. That is, we got some dust on these. I need to clean those, huh? So so that's the Enter Sandman single, which, like I said, when it came out, it was pretty much my gateway into Metallica because I was young, and it was a real catchy song, but still pretty heavy. And honestly, like, it is one of those songs that you've heard so many times that now I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of cool with not hearing that song. Give it a little bit of a rest before I hear it again. But still a fucking great song. So let's move on to the next single. Okay, next up we have the single for The Unforgiven, which was the second single released from the Black Album. This one's interesting because the color is a little bit more of a grayish, almost like a green gray kind of thing. There's more pictures of the dudes. But this one also has cool extra shit. It has obviously The Unforgiven. It has Killing Time, the cover that they did of the Sweet Savage song, and So What, the cover they did of the Anti-Nowhere League song, and then the demo for The Unforgiven. But if I remember right, the Unforgiven demo on here actually has the full band playing on it. And once again, sounds pretty damn close to what would end up happening on the album. And then once again, here you go. Guess what? There's that logo. So these all pretty much, I think they all look exactly like that. And The Unforgiven was a big deal because I remember at school, some friends of mine talking about the video premiering, and we after we all went home, I think at like 7:00 in the evening, they premiered the 30-minute long video for The Unforgiven, and later on down the line they started playing one that they edited down just for the song, but it was a big deal because it's like just this big theatrical thing that they put out for this song, and it just kept the momentum of the album going for me. But I'm like, yeah, this album's fucking huge. They even making movies for this damn album. So anyway, yeah, The Unforgiven. Let's move on. All right, next up, the single for Nothing Else Matters, the third single that was released off of the Black Album. It's interesting how all of these have like the Metallica logo kind of in different places and different stages of visibility. Some you can barely see it at all. There you go, pick of the dudes on the back. So this one has Nothing Else Matters. And then it has a live version of Enter Sandman from Moscow, which I believe was from that really big show they played I think with like Pantera, and was it the Scorpions? I don't know who all was on there, but it was a pretty big deal. And then there's a live performance of Harvester of Sorrow, which is from Austria. And the only reason they decided to put it on here is because it's a great example of hearing them fuck up at a show. And I just love the fact that they fucking put this on here, because it's Harvester of Sorrow. At that point, they probably played the song at least dozens of times, if not more. And there's a point where all of a sudden, and it's unclear of who does it. I don't know if it's Lars or Kirk or who starts playing a different part, and the whole band just shifts and skips over an entire part of the song. And it's really weird when you listen to it, but I guess it shows how great of a band they were together. It's like one guy fucks up, they all like move on and jump on the fuck up. So the average listener out in the crowd probably had no clue that it was a fuck up, but it's pretty fucking great anyway. And then last but not least, you have the demo for Nothing Else Matters, which I believe this is just the acoustic guitar and James singing, if I remember right. There may be drums on this too. I don't really remember. They're all kind of just recorded in Lars's basement. But once again, another song, Nothing Else Matters, already written and ready to go before they ever went to record the Black Album. So they clearly had a vision for this album before they ever even hit the studio. So there you go. Nothing Else Matters. Moving on. Wherever I May Roam, the fourth single released off of the Black Album, and one of my favorite tracks on the album. And this is, so once again, this is you get more of a snake logo thing going on here, and then the Metallica logo kind of peeking in at the top, and then there's the dudes there. And then this one has Wherever I May Roam, and then it has a live performance of Last Caress / Am I Evil / Battery. That one is from, it's also from Russia, so there you go. And then the Wherever I May Roam demo is the third thing. There's only 3 things on this particular one. I realized that we didn't look at the record for the last one, but trust me, it looks exactly the same. But the Wherever I May Roam demo, that one, and I think 1 or 2 of the other ones, there's this thing that James does when he doesn't have the lyrics completely written, and he basically just sings wa-na-na-na-na-na, wa-na-na-na-na. And so it's pretty interesting, because that's basically, they didn't have most of the lyrics for Wherever I May Roam at that point. So it's a demo of just James wa-na-na-ing all the way through it. So we will just to confirm, we'll pull this record out. Oh, look. That's what it looks like. Woo! So, and it's interesting too, because as you all know, I will be doing an unboxing video once the special deluxe box set of the Black Album is delivered to me. But as far as I know, like the stuff that's on these singles, I think for the most part is just on CDs. You're not going to get vinyl versions of these. So that's why I ended up snagging a bunch, all of these, because I was just like, I don't think they're going to be put out on vinyl, and I would like to have these OG copies on vinyl, because like these are all from 91, 92 when they came out. So Wherever I May Roam, a great song. I didn't really talk about like the video for Nothing Else Matters, because it's just studio footage from the 1.5 years in the life of Metallica video, which at that point you didn't even know that was a thing. And then the same thing with this. It's footage from the tour part of 1.5 years in the life of Metallica. That is a fucking mouthful. So yeah, let's just move on to the next one. Okay, last but not least, the 5th and final single from the Black Album, Sad But True. This one, you got the full-on Metallica logo, and you can see the snake eating the logo that you can just kind of see when you shine lights on it. That's pretty cool. And then there you go, another great picture with Hetfield doing a pretty good rock stance right there. This one has Sad But True on it. Then it has Nothing Else Matters, the elevator version, which I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard that. It's acoustic, all acoustic version of James and guitar, and then there's a lot of orchestra behind it, more so than because you can hear some of the orchestra in the album version, but this one it's way bigger. It's all over the place. And it honestly sounds really fucking good. Like Nothing Else Matters is a song that is just like Inner Sandman for me, where it's a great song, but I've heard it so many times, I'm like, So I like hearing the different version of it, because it's pretty enjoyable. It gives you a fresh take on the song that you've heard a lot of times. And then there's a performance of Creeping Death from Russia. And then there's the Sad But True demo, which once again is just James and Lars playing, and the majority of the song is kind of what you would already hear later on the album. And so so once again we'll do this. We're gonna do this. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet, huh? Oh my God, yeah. So all these Vertigo pressings of these records, like I said, they're all from the UK or Germany or somewhere over in that area, not in the good old US of A. So yeah, these are fucking great. And Sad But True, the Sad But True video, once again, it's live footage to the song that also is pretty much all of it's included in the year and a half in the life of Metallica video. And so yeah, that's the last one we're talking about, Sad But True. So for the kind of Metallica fan that I am, where this is where I pretty much came on board with the band, this album is very important to me, because not only did it lead me into being a huge Metallica fan, which I still am today, but also it helped nudge me down the path of more metal, because when I was a 10-year-old kid and I'm like, oh, that one video is like really spooky, I don't know if I'm ready for this. This album was basically saying, look, you've checked out Metallica, let's go check out all the other things. Let's jump into Slayer, then eventually let's jump into death metal, and all the things that were happening in the early 90s. I started riding that wave of the metal that was happening. And this album is a really big reason for all of that. So the person that you're seeing today is shaped a lot by this particular album. Do I think it's as good as their first four? I prefer listening to Ride the Lightning or And Justice for All most of the time. Master of Puppets is a masterpiece. That's just in its own fucking arena, really. But yeah, arguably, I would say that if you're going for that sound, then the Black Album isn't what you need to be listening to. But like I said before, the story of where Metallica goes from album 1 to album 5, and honestly beyond, is the thing that's kept me as a fan, because I like a variety. I like hearing a band try new things, whether they fail or they succeed. In my opinion, in this particular case, they absolutely succeeded, because it's one of the biggest albums ever. So, I mean, kudos to them, and I still enjoy listening to it. So, and I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on about Metallica and the Black Album, which I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of videos of things related to the Black Album coming out, because it is the 30th anniversary. But I appreciate you watching me, especially if you made it this far. Make sure you like and subscribe, and share this video, share my videos. Go out and check out all the other stuff I do, because I do a lot of different kinds of things on this particular channel, all relating to rock or metal or just music that I love, like this album. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you all again very soon.